welcome back to the channel. This is Rev Endurance Sports, and today I'm out on a recovery ride, and I thought I'd answer a couple of questions that I get from time to time. One of them is, do you ride on the freeway between Oceanside and Las Pulgas? Now, I'm on a hill doing about 6.5 miles per hour because I'm on a recovery ride. But look how fast these cars are passing me on a 6% grade. Well, 8% grade. So these cars are passing me way faster than they pass me on the freeway. Because on the freeway, I'm doing about 25 or so, and they're doing, at least the trucks in the far right lane, they're doing 55 mandated, and they have to stick to that speed limit because there's so many speed traps in that section of the freeway. So this is a residential area all around here, and this is turn lane 1, 2, 3 regular lanes, bike lane, turn lane. There's lots of car traffic. So when people say, oh, you should look at a radar device for your Garmin, I'm like, why? There is always a car behind you. But I just left the house 1 mile ago, and I've already climbed 175 feet because, well, now we're in Carlsbad, but I live in San Marcos, which is a very, very hilly area. But we're headed out to the coast, and we are going to do a, oh, by the way, I never know what any of this stuff means. So if anyone can make a comment on that, that'd be great. So, yeah, 10 miles per hour, but the speed, I mean, those people are going way over 55. We know that. We're going to do a nice, easy recovery ride out to the coast. It's 11 a.m. on a Sunday, and I think the weather's at least 75 degrees, but we'll check it. Did a 150-mile ride yesterday. I thought today what I would do is maybe a little debrief on the ride and kind of do it on location. I think I'm going to go somewhere and get to a coffee spot. Don't know which one yet. We're on a quieter street now. It is a popular road for cyclists to avoid the main roads, which are La Costa, if you have a Spanish heritage, and El Camino Real, or El Camino Real. So this road's a little quieter, so we might get a little bit of footage. Many times people, and you know, it's a mistake I've made hundreds of times, you want to go on a recovery ride, so you go out with your friends and you're like, hey, I'm on a recovery ride, did XYZ yesterday, or even just, you know, it's just part of your 4-week training plan and you're trying to do a recovery ride. But then the pace always picks up. It just always does. So what do? Well, my suggestion is either ride with someone who you know is disciplined enough that you can then regroup with them, him, her, and just do your recovery ride without getting your heart rate up, without creating additional wear and tear on your legs, lactic acid that you're trying to clear from your ride the day before. A recovery ride should feel like you're taking your bike for a walk. Sounds silly, but that's a good way to describe it. You're taking your bike for a walk, right? Oh, just missed a little bit of scenery, so I'm going to go back. This is a very hilly area, and it's hard to see, but right about there is a steep 15% hill that I Everested. It's called El Fuerte, and it was really steep. I think I did it in either July or August, so it was pretty hot. I'll see if I can drop a clip in there. It was 100 and so miles, so it wasn't that long of an Everest because it was so steep. But it had steep ramps and then it would shallow out, so it was a hard climb to pace yourself on. But I know the locals don't like to ride it often, so I thought, okay, let me knock that one out because I know people fear it. Another comment I got on my ride yesterday, they called me out for riding my Carbon Bottecchia. This is a carbon bike, mechanical drivetrain, Durace mechanical drivetrain disc, and that was a point of contention for folks. I guess people forget that the reason I'm such a rim brake fan is because I actually own a disc brake bike. I've put 7,000 miles on it compared to the 16,000 I put on my gray Ritchie and another, I don't know, 5,000 or 6,000 on my brand new 2024 Ritchie. So yeah, I have a disc brake bike. I know how they ride. I know how they feel. I know how the braking action is delayed. Oh, look, all the bike racks are gone. There used to be a lot more bike racks out here. Are they no longer bike friendly? Maybe they're not bike friendly anymore. This whole section here used to be bike racks. I'm gonna have to look this up, but Lose Records has been here a long time. And this is a place you used to get vinyl, and you used to get CDs. And if you ever couldn't find something, Lose Records would have it. But yeah, change of plans. We are not going to stop at the Panic Inn because they no longer have bike racks. So America's trying to do the roundabout, but it's sketchy. These motorists don't want to yield to even pedestrians, it seems. So we're going to turn in here to Swami's Beach. We'll just take a quick look over the ocean. So the easiest way to do a recovery ride in San Diego is to head west, at least from where I live. I'm about 6 miles from the ocean. Head west. Then what you do is go south with a little bit of a tailwind, turn east, and then you'll have a little bit of a tailwind going home. And that's the easiest way. Otherwise, any other variation of that, you got a lot of extra work. And we're coming up on the Cardiff Kook. Let's see what he's dressed up with today. This is a thing. It's always got some type of costume or outfit. That guy, he should be centered in the lane if he's going to ride out there. You're allowed to take the full lane, but if you don't, then you get cars passing you too close. This place looks a little friendlier. I've eaten here before. Let's give it a shot. So this worked out a little bit better. Got live music still. I got a perfect vantage point to looking at my bike from here. And outdoor cafe. This is California living, if you will. And I ordered a Reuben. I haven't had a Reuben in a long time, so we'll see what that's like. So let's talk about pacing for yesterday's 150 miler. Normally, because it's so windy on the northbound leg, I generally will try to hold about 140 to 145 heart rate, and that's kind of like mid to high zone 2, and I hold that regardless of what's happening. So there could be a hill, there could be stronger headwinds, there also could be some folks passing me. So I don't chase those folks. I ride to my numbers, I ride to my pace, I ride to my goal, whatever that goal is for the day. And that's something I wish to impart on you folks, is that if you go out with a training goal or objective in mind, stick to it. Because that's how you can get your segmented let's say endurance zone or your tempo zone or your threshold zone. Stick to your numbers. In my opinion, structured training or having a plan before going out on your ride, it's debatable whether everyone should have a coach, but I think everyone should have a plan, even if it's just a self-constructed plan where you're like, okay, this week, break it up into a month, but then this week and then this day, these are the things I'm going to do. You could also just ride just because riding is fun, because riding is fun to do. So you could just do that. But, so for example, yesterday's ride, the first, 76, 77 miles, I rode, first 20-ish is a little bit north and west to the ocean, so that's a lot of wind. And then north for another 50-ish miles, that's all. It's an onshore flow, but it basically feels like a headwind, even though it's cross, because the road keeps the coast keeps curving as it's going north. So a lot of times you're going into that headwind. But then when you turn around, you have the benefit of not riding as hard, and you get an extra, mile or two per hour because of a tailwind. So generally I'll go north at about 140, 145 heart rate, and then go south at about 145 to 150 heart rate. Still always trying to keep a limit at around 150, 155 for these really long endurance rides. So 8.5 hours, 8:42, 8 hours.
Can I take this chair?
Yes, please take it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So yeah, I've got a very nice table, but I'm by myself and I really don't need the extra chairs. But I really enjoy staying at a zone and watching people pass me, and then I catch them just by staying in a zone without overexerting myself, without going into threshold. Now, at a certain point of the ride, I will do some efforts, some surges, and then almost always the last 40K, so the last 25 miles, I always pick up the pace. It's just what I always like to do. It's a way for me, just like the last climb of the day, which is the only one that matters. I like to finish really strong on last climb of the day or last sections of a course, because then that tells me I paced myself properly. My nutrition was also good. If I'm fading towards the end of the ride, that means I just haven't been fueling properly, or it's too long of a ride and I haven't done the miles to be prepared for that. But 150, 125, a 200K, those should be in your repertoire if you're an endurance cyclist or a brevet rider. Let's talk about nutrition. I had, from the start, I had 2 bottles on the bike with 500 calories each. Then I had in a reused bag that was for my like almonds and nuts or whatever mix. I use that bag because it's a thicker bag. My Roomba has arrived.
Here we are. Yay!
And so I use those bags because they're thicker than a baggie, but I wanted to carry all my own nutrition. So look at this beautiful thing. Oh, my mouth is about to be in heaven. Okay, I'll check back in a little bit. We'll finish up the nutrition in a minute. Oh my God, that's good. We left off on nutrition. Now, a lot of folks tell me that they struggle with nutrition, and I got to tell you, it's probably the easiest component of endurance riding. You just got to find something you like to eat or drink, and drink a lot of it. The math that I did, and by the way, I had a plan, but I basically went with how much I could stomach. Ended up being 376 calories per hour for an 8.5 hour ride. So I think that's 94 grams of carbs per hour. And that's just constantly feeding the engine, just constantly feeding it. So I had with me, as I mentioned, the primary fuel is my energy carbohydrate that I created for this endurance type of riding. So that was 600. Just kept supplementing that with gels, clip blocks, and stuff like that, just to keep so that I wouldn't be drinking too much calories at one time, because I needed the hydration to also last for a period of time. In fact, the first time I stopped was at mile 106. 106 into the ride. First stop of the day. So 6 hours, 8 minutes, first stop of the day. And 6:24 total time, and that's all just traffic lights. I've been stopped all day. And that's all I've had to drink all day. And I only refilled one bottle because I had not even finished the first bottle in those 6 hours. It was misty and cloudy and overcast. So I downed that bottle, then I refilled it and drank just straight bottle of water. Then refilled it, and as I showed in one of the clips, I use these bags because they're a little bit thicker than a Ziploc, and I don't want the Ziploc ripping on me as I'm moving it around. So then I had 10 scoops in the bottle, in the bag. So I knew if I poured half of that bottle, that'd be 5 scoops, 500 calories, put that back in my bottle. And then the last 49-ish miles from there. So that's nutrition. So we talked about pacing, we talked about nutrition, gear setup, basically just whatever bike I ride, that's the gearing that's on it, and that's how I ride it. This particular bike has a 5440 chainring combination, 1134 cassette combination. I like it when I'm doing these long, flattish type rides. I like getting that big 54 rolling along. And that doesn't mean I ride in the 11, but 13, 12, maybe even 14, 13, 12. And I just get that big gear rolling, and it just feels good. Good tension on the chain, good feeling in the legs. 200 or so watts, nothing really major. No, I mean, I don't put out a lot of watts to begin with. I'm just a very efficient rider when it comes to time off the bike. And yeah, I felt great the whole day. So, it's just one of those situations where some folks will call that an epic ride. And, for some people, they may train all year to do a century or 150 miles. But, I mean, that is just part of the things that I do as I train. I'm not going to say it was easy, but it's just some of the stuff that I do. I really enjoy a longer ride more than anything else. I'd rather be on the bike for 10 hours doing, 150, 200 miles than to do a 35-mile club ride. I, I don't know. At this age and at this experience level, I don't know. I just don't find them as exciting as I used to. I'm trying to see if I can sit down on this thing. Yeah, that's not too bad. But I wanted to give you a change of venue. So there's the ocean right behind me. This is Solana Beach, and they call this area Fletcher Cove. Fletcher Cove. So it's a really cool place. And I think they used to have races out of here. I'm not sure. So, but anyway, there is an extension. This is a very slippery, I'll try to film this in a minute. There's a very slippery walkway down into the beach. There's a lot of folks slipping, unfortunately. But I will there's an app, and I don't even know how I got it. It's a plugin that I use on Chrome, an extension on Chrome. And what I can do with that is, or what it does, is it segments all the different miles per hour. It segments all the power zones, heart rate zones. So it's a pretty cool extension. So it takes your Strava file and just really breaks it down into all these little details.